Hi everyone, it's the Comic Fan Man here coming at you with another video. And in today's video, I wanted to do a quick little movie review of the James Gunn Superman movie. It just came out of watching it. And I got some thoughts. About it. Yeah, there were definitely things that happened in the movie that will subvert your expectations. And yeah, not all of it for the positive. But I will say overall, I'm going to have to cover this in two parts. First part here will be spoiler free, and then I'll go into the spoiler talk. Because yeah, there are definitely some things that I can't really discuss without getting into spoilers. So overall, I think the movie was trying to move in a positive direction. However, I feel it was a way over the top correction from the DCEU. What Zack Snyder was doing, because this movie went 180 degrees the other way, but almost to a like a cartoonish buffoonery sort of way. And no, I am not a MAGA. No, I'm not a right-wing conspiracy guy. Let's get that clear. I've seen the Fox News takes, and they are hilarious because it just shows how stupid they are, that they don't understand the foundations of who Superman is. So yeah, no, don't throw that in the comments because I am definitely not that. I'm a Superman fan first and foremost, and I just feel like they took too many liberties with that part of his lore. I will say that for positive notes, I'm going to say the actors that they chose for Superman and Lois Lane and pretty much most of the cast is on point. Everybody is really that done in here. I do hope that we get another Superman movie. I hope that that WB doesn't freak out and kill what's happening now because of whatever comes out. Although, you know, overall it's got some really positive ratings. But as a Superman fan, I really don't know how it's got those ratings. Because this movie, they do a few things in here that's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you make that choice? But you know what? Let's keep that to let's stick with the positives. Again, the positives. Superman, Lois Lane, and all of the other characters are really well portrayed in here. Except for Lex Luthor, but we'll go over that later. The Justice Gang was interesting. However, I feel like they should not have been in the movie. They should have been their own separate thing. Although, I think I know why he put them in there, because he kind of had them do things that, you know, quote unquote Superman is not supposed to do. Like, the Justice Gang was basically there and, like, let's say they took lives without there being an issue. So I think that's what they were there for. And the special effects was great. They did great special effects in this one. Definitely nothing like what they had in The Flash. Everything was crisp, clean, and it looked really good. So, in that aspect, those are the really bright spots of the movie. The actors, the special effects, and just how they all portrayed on each other. But, you know, that's really kind of most of the positives of the movie. Because, let me tell you, from here on out, there are some issues. There's a lot of issues to discuss here. So, with that out of the way, with the positives out of the way, let's start going into the spoiler talk in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right, so let's begin with the problems of the movie. First of all, the movie starts off by telling you, instead of like world building, basically you're going into a world that already exists and you have to already know that everybody knows this stuff. Not really the strongest way to start a movie, but I guess that's the way he wanted to do it, just to like set everybody's expectations. So metahumans have been on the planet for over 300 years. Superman has been Superman for 3 years, and he seems to be the most powerful metahuman. Even though he's not really human, he's an alien. They say that a lot in the movie. You could do a drinking game with the amount of times that they use the word alien in this movie. But yeah, so that was right off the bat. It went to that, and right off the bat, like all the commercials, all the action that you see in the commercials, that's basically all the action in the movie. Except for like the last 20 minutes has its own different action scene. But the major action scenes for the first, hour and 40 minutes of the movie, you basically seen in the commercials. So that was not cool. I would have liked to have left that out of the commercials. Because basically that, if you see those commercials, you see the good part of the movie, and that's it. Superman gets his ass handed to him a lot in this movie. Like, his power level in this movie is kind of weird, because there is a scene in there that shows like, holy shit, he is Superman. But the rest of the time he's getting his ass beat. So it was really kind of weird to see him like, get beat here, there, and the other place, and yet somehow he's able to pull a move that was like, whoa, wait a minute. How the hell? How did you go from like getting your ass beat like every 20 minutes in this movie to like all of a sudden you're able to pull off something like that? It was kind of weird. I do have to say I did not like the new design of the super suit. It looked really weird to me. Like even if they would have done like, Christopher Reeve's tights, I think would have been better than what they did with that suit, because that suit looks awful. I think they were trying to go for this 52 look, but it did not translate well on the screen. I'm sorry. I know people are like, oh, but it's brighter than the Henry Cavill's Superman and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It did not look good. There's a scene where he's walking like handcuffed, and I'm like, bro, he looks like he's walking in pajamas. Like, why? I did not like that super suit at all. One actor I did not talk about, or one character I did not talk about in the positives, was Lex Luthor. And I'm going to say, for everybody that was complaining about how Lex Luthor was jittery and this, that, and the other from the Snyderverse, like, what? How do you defend this Lex Luthor? This Lex Luthor was absolutely awful. Awful, awful. He was a whiny, crying little baby throughout the whole thing. And I'm like, what is... Like, there's a scene in there where it's like, he's walking through the scene and he looks all menacing and cool, where the super robots are getting beat up all around him. And I'm like, the rest of the movie, he is nowhere near as stoic as that scene. Like, he's just awful. And I'm like, and I like Nicholas Hoult. I thought he was going to be a strong character in this movie. But it was the exact opposite. He was just terrible. His screeching, his yelling, his, like, all of it made no sense. And then his final plan was ridiculous. So, let's get this straight. This dude is like, whatever, he's a multi-trillionaire, this, that, and the other. Fine. That's one thing. But let's go through his master plan. He gave $80 billion worth of military aid to a country, and that country, he literally only did that. He did not want anything from the country. He literally only did that to set up Superman. He spent $80 billion to set up Superman and make him look like a monster. And I was like, what? Like they made it seem like he was gonna get something out of the deal, and that was gonna be his motivation. But no, he tells Superman, no, I only did it to get to you. And I was like, there's no way. There's no possible way that they said that out loud. And then, like, he's the one that figured out, like, this pocket dimension prison, which, you know, would have been cool if they would have said, like, he found some Kryptonian technology which brought the Phantom Zone. Like, okay, fine, like, maybe that would have been cool. That's not what he did. He literally created a pocket universe that had a black hole in it, and that was where he built his prison, in a black hole. I was like, wait, like, what? And then there was this weird river that, like, Superman fell into in one of the scenes, where, again, he's getting his ass handed to him. And they're getting pulled into the black hole. This is what I'm talking about. This is, like, his strength issues in the movie, like, his power level was completely inconsistent. He was literally just getting his ass beat. He was exposed to kryptonite, so that's kind of like, I was like, all right, well, maybe he was exposed to kryptonite, that's why he's getting his ass beat this time. But no, he got out of the black hole by blowing into it. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I thought Krypto was gonna, like, yank him out, because that's kind of what the scene made it look like. But even Krypto started getting sucked into the black hole, so it was like, oh shit, like, what are they gonna do? And Superman literally, all he did was turn around and started blowing into the black hole to propel himself out of it. And I was like, what is that? What are you talking about? So that was really bizarre. The kaiju fight. Oh Lord. The kaiju fight was like, first of all, why, if you're gonna do a kaiju, you're gonna do a monster. Why is it this pudgy, like, Pokemon thing? Like, bro, it was not menacing at all. It was all done for laughs, and it's like, oh Lord. And the Justice Gang was the one that stopped it. Like, Superman didn't even stop it. Like, he was like, oh, I'm trying to figure out how to stop it without killing it. And I was like, you don't have to say that out loud. Oh my God. It was like they were so scared about what happened in the Snyderverse. Like, they went 180 degrees the opposite direction to, like, a cartoon buffoonery level. And it was like, why are you saying that out loud? That doesn't need to be said. But yeah, the monster, that whole scene with the monster and the fact that the Justice Gang were the ones that stopped it, was like, The same thing happened, if you saw the commercial, there's a commercial with the boy holding the Superman flag, crying out for Superman to come and save them, right? Superman could not get there because he was fighting Ultraman. Ultraman was in this movie. And so because he was fighting Ultraman, he couldn't get there. So in the commercial, it makes it seem like, Superman's going to come to save. No, the Justice Gang goes to save them. And this was, again, that scene where it's kind of like that country, like Israel. Basically, there's it was a recreation of Israel murdering everybody in Gaza. Let's just put it out there. That's exactly what it was. Or Russia going into Ukraine to murder everybody. That's what that whole scene was. And so the Justice Gang shows up to that and saves them. And it was like, okay. So this fight with Ultraman is taking up all of Superman's, this is like the last half hour of the movie. So it's like, okay, like this fight with Ultraman is definitely something that's like, oh, okay, this is going to be intense. And then that's where you have the reveal where Ultraman was a clone of Superman. Basically, what happened in Superman 4, The Quest for Justice, was this story arc. Basically, Lex Luthor found a strand of Superman's hair, and he cloned it, and he made Ultraman. Now, it would be cool if Ultraman eventually becomes Bizarro. However, I don't think that's going to happen. Because Superman Look, everybody made a big issue about how Zack Snyder, had Superman kill Zod. This Superman, in this movie, I don't care how cartoony they made it. In real life, this Superman would have a kill count in an amazing numbers. So he kills Ultraman because he eventually throws Ultraman into that black hole. Okay, before we get to that black hole situation, the rest of Lex Luthor's plan is coming to fruition, right? So finally, everybody's starting to see that Lex Luthor's the bad guy. So what does he do? He says, okay, let's bring the pocket dimension into ours. So he rips open reality to bring the pocket dimension into ours, which starts to obviously destroy Metropolis. So they make a whole scene where the way this gap is moving is super fast. They somehow emptied all of Metropolis in 5 minutes. Yeah, I live in New York City. I would like to see you try to empty out Manhattan. But okay, fine. Let's suspend our disbelief for a second. And let's pretend okay, they got all the people in the city out in time before this cataclysm was coming into Metropolis. The buildings are getting crushed and it's crazy what's happening. But Lex is still in Metropolis. And he has an army, and they're like, well, shouldn't we get out of here? And Lex is like, yes, I have a plan. And he calls Otis. Now, if you remember, Otis was the name of the bumbling idiot from the Superman movies. In this movie, Otis is a really big linebacker. And he pulls a lever, and Lex and his team are all of a sudden in some flying ship. So his building gets destroyed, but he's safe. And one of the guys in the ship said exactly what I said, which is yeah, but you gotta land at some point. And the character in the movie says, yeah, that's all great, but where are we gonna land if we don't have a planet? I was like, oh my god. So with the 2 dimensions opening up, there's this big crazy Superman fight scene with Ultraman, and you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. But then Superman throws Ultraman into the black hole, and you realize, wait a minute, the black hole is there. How is the movie not over? As soon as he would have opened that, the black hole should have swallowed everything. I was like, wait, the movie should have just rolled credits as soon as and could have just left us with some type at the end. I was like, wait a minute, that's not like the black hole should have finished everything at that point. So then Lex still does have his army to go deal with Superman, and they show up. And then this is another wild scene to show off Superman's powers. And the whole troop, like, again, like I said, I don't care what they showed in the movie. Superman's kill count in this scene was through the roof. Because he got dogpiled, absolutely dogpiled, by all of Lex Luthor's troops. And then he goes into his tornado spin, right? Those people are getting launched off of him. And they're going in all sorts of directions, including into space, with crazy centrifugal force. Like, they should have been dead. Absolutely murdered. And then once he got that pile off of him, the others start coming in. And while continuing his tornado spin, he uses his laser beams. His laser eyes. So he's like lasering everybody in the area. And they're falling out of the sky. Like skyscraper level. Falling out of the sky. So obviously they're going to hit the ground and die, right? Or if he didn't cut them in half. No, the very next scene shows them falling out of the sky. Not even falling out of the sky, just hitting the ground like they tripped. And I was like, there's no way they're telling us that all of these people survived a fall from a skyscraper, from skyscraper height. That's nuts. And apparently his lasers only like scratch the armor. And if you want to make the argument that like, yeah, well, the armor protected them, that's all fine and good. But falling from the level of a skyscraper, the armor could be fine. Your body's going to turn to jelly inside that armor as soon as you hit the ground. Because there's no padding, no centrifugal force that's going to stop your body from falling at that momentum. Your body is in the suit. The suit might survive the impact. You're not going to survive that impact. So that was just, I was dumbfounded when I saw that scene. I was like, there's no, like Superman literally killed everybody in that scene. I don't want to hear any arguments about that because that was crazy. And if they would have had the balls to go through it, like I would have been behind it because like, bro, they left him no alternatives. Like they were jumping on him like it was no big deal. But whatever. Okay, so now we're past that. And then he goes to deal with Lex, and that scene, like it was a good scene. That last scene between him and Lex, like it was an intense argument, and he made great points, and it was like, wow, okay, like you could feel like, yeah, this is definitely something Superman would say, right? So in that aspect, like it was like, okay, like that could have been positive. But then, you know, the James Gunn comedy comes in and Krypto comes in and thrashes Lex around, and it was like, oh Lord. All right, more of the James Gunn Marvel comedy. And overall, like those were some of the issues that I had with the movie. However, my biggest problem is coming up. All right, let's talk about the biggest problem that I had with this movie. And that was Jor-El and Lara, their message to Superman. I'm gonna say I really cannot stand it. when the modern writers want to do something cool and different with lore, but what they did here was so off-putting to me that it kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, this part of the movie kind of jaded me for the rest of the movie, which really kind of made me like not really get into it as right after I saw this. And so Jor-El and Lara are actually evil, and they sent Superman to conquer Earth. Basically, they turned Superman into Omni-Man in this movie. Like he's a Viltrumite. He's a Viltrumite, plain and simple. The message was really, really crazy. I'm like, there's no. I thought for me, I was like, okay, maybe like, you know, the message was kind of like, you know, taken, like maybe Lex Luthor did something to the message, but no, the very next few scenes are just like, no, that's what he says. That's what's in the message. And I was like, there's no way. Like, how in the world, who approved this? Like, I hate it when they change like the modern takes on like Batman, when they're like, oh, like, you don't know, his parents were evil billionaires. And it's like, you're changing the very fundamental foundation of the character. Like, that should, I was like, there's no way, like, that should have gotten approved. Like, you are literally changing the very absolute foundation of the character. So now Superman is having to deal the rest of the movie with the reality that his parents were actually evil. How does he get over it? He gets over it because Ma and Pa can't, you know, tell him, well, you know, they're just giving you your tools for life. You're the one that has to make your own choices. Oh, Lord. Lord Almighty. I was like, why? Why do you change something that is so key to the character? And this happened about 30 minutes into the movie. Excuse me. It happened about 30 minutes into the movie. And it was at that point where it just jaded my vision for the rest of the movie. And I can honestly say that. Because there are parts in the movie that are good. And like I said, the special effects were done pretty well. But the writing was awful. And like that key moment in the movie, for me, killed the rest of the movie. Because it's like, you're missing the basic fundamental like background of Superman. Why would you? And then that excuse me. Then that brings up other issues with the movie. Because if that's so, then obviously there's never going to be a General Zod. But then, like, Supergirl is in this movie. What does this mean for her? Because she spoke Kryptonian, she was of age, she would have understood what was happening. So, like, if she hears this message now, like, what's gonna happen? Like, is it gonna be a Superman versus Supergirl movie? Like, does Supergirl become General Zod? Like you don't, like, fundamentally this ruins this version of Superman for me. Because it's like, okay, his parents sent him to conquer Earth. And now there is a Supergirl who was of age. She would have understand Kryptonian language. Like, how do they handle this now? I don't know, man. That to me was the biggest blow to me of the movie, was the fact that they did that with his parents. It's like, You should have just left that alone. That was not at all necessary. Like the scene between him and Paul Kent was really good, and they let that one sit without a James Gunn joke, but it was not worth like changing Superman's fundamental foundation. That his people, like his father and his mother, sent him as Earth's hope. That they're like, you know, the S stands for hope and this, that, and the other. Like none of that is in this movie. Like what makes this Superman hopeful? The fact that he has a bright colored suit? Like I was like, no. It was at that point where like I kind of like, okay, let me just turn my brain off for the rest of this movie because I can't take this seriously now. And then like the rest of the movie was just, it was just a, you know, a Marvel action flick. But it didn't have the gravitas. It didn't have like any inkling of what, like, you know, Henry Cavill's Man of Steel or Christopher Reeve's Superman from the 80s and 70s. It had none of it. Like it was it was comic book fun and it was cartoony fun, but as far as it being a Superman movie, it just did not feel that way to me. It was another ensemble movie, which should not have been. If I'm going to go see a Superman movie, it needs to be a Superman movie, and don't throw his parents under the bus. Jesus Christ, can we really stop changing the fundamentals of our heroes, please? Can you learn to write with what's there? Oh, Lord. Please help me. All right, so those were my thoughts on the Superman movie. Unfortunately, I did not like it, and you know, it had good scenes. I'm not saying it didn't have good scenes, and the special effects were definitely really good. But as soon as that reveal of Jor-El and Lara, that turned me off to the rest of the movie. And you know, anybody who's a true Superman fan, just like anybody who's a true Batman fan, when you mess with the family foundation of the character, you're messing with what made them who they are. What gave them their identity to become who they are. When you turn Batman's family into evil billionaires, you're not giving him any reason to become Batman anymore. When you turn Superman's family into Viltrumites, they're no longer Kryptonian. They're Viltrumites. Like, come on, guys. Let's get back on track here, please. All right, so I basically went through a whole half hour of ranting on the movie, but I can see a future if they get better writers and directors to fix the direction for any future Superman movies. Yeah, this was definitely over James Gunn's head. He is so used to doing ensemble movies that I guess he forgot how to make one-offs. And you know, having a Superman movie where Superman is basically one of the many characters in the movies, yeah, that doesn't fly for me as a Superman movie. That's just kind of like, nah, man, you missed the mark on that one. So hopefully the next one will be better. I do want to see these actors come back and reprise their roles and be given a shot to really get this franchise going. I really do hope that WB is patient and they don't kill it like they did with the DCEU. You know, I know a lot of people didn't like it because it was dark and gritty and oh my god. And it's like, bro, it was, say what you want, but for me, Man of Steel was still better than this movie. Simply because it basically touched on all the same plot points but it was done in a more realistic way, and it just felt like a more completed film. Like, this film felt like a bunch of ideas just kind of pasted together. Like, every half hour seemed to be like a half hour cartoon episode of something different for Superman to deal with. And it wasn't even, Superman didn't deal with everything. Like, it was like the Justice Gang was very distracting. Like, I like them, but they deserve their own thing. They shouldn't have been so prominent in the Superman movie. Like, Mr. Terrific actually had better scenes than Superman in here, as far as I'm concerned. And that's saying a lot. And so hopefully they can course correct. Hopefully WB is patient and gives them the chance to course correct. But yeah, this movie for me was definitely it was a big swing, but it was a big miss. It definitely did not land for me. It was way too off-putting, way too much suspension of disbelief was required to get through this movie. And I don't like it when movies do that. It's like bro, focus, get it together. Like, why are we dealing with a kaiju and then Ultraman and then there's a Robot Man at the very beginning, and then there's and then Lex Luthor is like beating Superman by playing bingo and calling out random letter number combinations. I was like, oh man, no. Just stop. Focus. Get it back together. You know, James Gunn, if you want to be the overall arcing man to keep the DC universe together, then do that and hire somebody else to direct and write your movies, because that you obviously took too much on, and it showed in this movie. So that's my thoughts on the movie. I was really disappointed. For me, it's a 4 out of 10. It was, the special effects and the quality of the filming was okay. The special effects were good. They did do some strange things with the camera angles, but that's an artistic choice. But the overall arching feel of the movie just did not feel like a Superman movie to me at all. It felt like a Justice League Unlimited cartoon, and that's not what I want to see in a Superman movie. I want to see Superman. And there were glimpses of that, but it fell way short of what it should have been. All right, hope you enjoyed this, and we'll get back to the toy reviews. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.